This is KC Sports Network, proudly presented by Emprise Bank.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Run It Back. And here again, I have another special co-host, none other than Hannah Whetstone, who you guys will be seeing a whole bunch of times on the sidelines for KC Sports on ESPN+. Hannah, thank you for literally being a lifesaver and being on the show last minute because I needed some help. So thank you.
Absolutely. Happy to be here.
Okay, so once again, another tough weekend of K-State soccer and volleyball, kind of just like it was last weekend, but it's okay. It's okay. You know, sugar honey iced tea happens. It happens. But unfortunately, this sugar honey iced tea sucked more than last time. Why? Because last time we lost to number 4 Nebraska, and I didn't think our volleyball team played bad. It was just hell. It's Nebraska, right?
Right.
They're a really, really, really good team, like championship contender type team. And I know it's like prime time volleyball tonight with Nebraska and I want to say Stanford. So I think that's a matchup of 4 and 5. Okay, they're having that on primetime ESPN. How often do they do that for volleyball games, right? So obviously Nebraska is who they are. And then of course K-State went on to see another invitational in Nashville. I want to say they started off that invitational real solid. Beats UT Martin 3 straight sets, dominated them, packed them up exactly like they were supposed to, right? And then came Lipscomb. I didn't even know where the hell that was until literally this weekend. But
Same.
I heard of them. I didn't know where they were, but I heard of them. But damn it, man, this was an upset because K-State lost in 5 sets to a 2-4 Lipscomb, who was 1-4. At that time, in case they came in 5-1.
Yeah.
I gotta take a moment. I gotta take a moment. I'm not upset with them because like every K-State team always has one of these losses.
Yeah.
Game that they had no business losing to a team, but they did. K-State started off really rough. They started out down 2 sets, 25-17 and 25-18. I was watching and I'm like, what's going on, y'all? Y'all a little bit, a little bit slower, a little bit more out of position and things like that. And it's uncharacteristic. It was uncharacteristic. That's how I know. I was like, yo, this is the same K-State team, right, Hannah? Because like you were on the sidelines. You see that athleticism firsthand. I know when I went to like be on the sidelines for my first K-State game last season, like seeing it up close. I'm like, bro, they got that talent, and of course other volleyball teams too. But this should not be a damn game they should lose to against no damn Lipscomb. But I will give respect to Lipscomb. They played really well. They came in. They protected home floor. They did what they had to. They played really, really well, and they caught K-State on a bad day. That's kind of what it was. They caught us on a bad day, and it went to 5 sets, right? Yeah. So, yeah. And like I'm giving them credit, Hannah. Like they had Lipscomb. They had 267 hitting percentage, 3 players, a double-figure kills. You just got to wash your hands from it, okay? Because we talked about this before. This team is good, okay? Like this team is good. The Jason Mantzler is off to a great start. Despite this loss, I still think it's off to a great start. What is this? 7 games into the season? All right, 2 losses. I get this is not a loss they should have, but sugar honey iced tea happens, okay? They came back after being down 2 sets because I've also talked to Jason Mansfield like we did. Talked to Shaylee Myers first episode. This is a team that never says die. She says that a whole bunch of times. They ain't just gonna lay down for anybody. Okay, that's first and foremost. That's one you always gotta respect. They never gonna lay down for anybody. So they were able to come back and have a decisive 5th set after being down 0-2. They had some sort of come to Jesus moment to start the 3rd set and was able to kind of get things rolling from there. So, So Leah Carter, there's a lot of things that can be good from it, despite losing in that 5th and final set. I want to say, 15-17. Leah Carter, she had 17 kills, so she was straight up doing something to them. Nia, who was kind of coming in, she's I want to say a red shirt freshman. She's kind of someone who came in on the scene and be like, oh, she here. You know what I mean? Yeah. So she's been doing really well. She's getting her opportunity. She had 13 kills. Sydney Boulding, obviously the best, if not the best, middle blocker in the Big 12. She had 12 kills, 8 blocks. And of course, Mac Morris had 20 plus digs. That's the 22nd time in her career she's done that. So already she's doing what you need to do. Izzy Shulshevsky, 32 assists, 14 digs, her second double-double of the season so far. So that's something you can take away from me. I know this, once again, I'm just going to pound it. This is not a game that K-State should have lost. But it's always some of these games. It's an upset. Lipscomb was real hype, as they should be. They beat a Power 5 team on their own floor in a thrilling 5-set match. Like this is what teams want, especially against a team that is, better than them, and they were able to get the best of K-State that day. So I get it. Things happen, right? But Hannah, they got this K-State team. They got to bounce back so disrespectfully. And that's definitely invitational. Are you calling that game or any of those games this weekend?
I'm not. I don't work volleyball until we play TCU, which is exciting, but I'll probably just go to those games. But I think like a big takeaway probably from this is, one, obviously it's a huge learning experience for this team. Sometimes those losses just have to happen, as much as we hate for them to happen. I think it's interesting that we did have girls put up such good numbers. And like, if you look at the stat sheet, it doesn't seem like we played terrible, but then, we suffer a loss to a team that, we probably shouldn't. So, and, I think the other thing is that it's really early in the season, and I would rather get a silly loss like this out of the way now than when, that was our last game. You know what I mean? So, learning experience for sure. And I think that they'll just come back stronger. They gotta go in and like handle the teams that they can handle. Don't mess around. Don't take them to 5 sets. Go take care of business. That's my opinion.
You gotta fold them up and pack them up and put them in the suitcase. That's what you gotta do. And that's what I expect.
Start the bus.
Get them out of there. Yeah, right?
Exactly.
Thursday they play LIU. I think it's Long Island University. I don't know. I literally just looked that up. What LIU even stood for. They play them on Thursday for the K-State Invitational, and then they play Rice. LIU is 1-9. Once again, they better pack their behinds up, all right? And then on Saturday, they play Rice, unfortunately, at the same time as K-State Missouri. Or actually, no, I lied. They start at 12. K-State Missouri starts at 11. But Rice is at 500. They're at 4-4 on the season. Okay, so you like once these, this is it. This is the last stretch for when it comes to conference games. And then you have TCU, and then you have the Texas Tech, and then stuff starts getting a little bit crazy, right? So you gotta get this in. You gotta forget that last loss. It was a bad loss. It was a loss to a team you shouldn't have lost to, but it is what it is. All right, you gotta wipe your hands clean, get a rag, whatever, and then move on to the next, right? Because then they have a chance to be able to still start this off really, really well, despite having this loss to 2-4 Lipscomb, right? So, but I'm not worried. Hannah, you're not worried, and none of us should be worried. Like I said before, every K-State team, there's always one. There's always one. It's a lot of teams. Unless you're like Georgia in football, you're gonna lose a game you probably shouldn't. It is what it is, right? But that's all that we're gonna speak on for volleyball so far today. But upcoming next, we have a very, very special guest, none other than Coach Matt Smith from K-State Soccer. You're not going to want to miss it, which also you're not going to want to miss is home field apparel. Please get your gear. It's still early in the season. It's not too late. Get you a new t-shirt, get you a new sweater, a new hat. Just go up and buy the whole store, okay? Because they got you. Go to homefieldapparel.com. We will be right back.
Thanks for listening to KC Sports Network. Make sure you download our new app. Find it on the App Store or Google Play. Just search KC Sports Network.
All right, everybody, welcome back to Run It Back. I am Jazsmin Halliburton. Joined with me is none other than Hannah Whetstone, who is on the sidelines this entire year for K-State Sports on ESPN+, so look her up. And then we have none other than what we like to call the 11th Doctor at Wildcat 91.9 and the goalkeeping coach for K-State Soccer, none other than Coach Matt Smith. Everybody, round of applause, snaps, wherever you may be sitting. Coach, thank you so much for joining me today.
It's good to be back with you, Jazz. It's been a while since we've been at least virtually in the same studio, if not physically in the same studio. So it's always good to see you. Great to be here.
Yeah, I said it a little bit off air. It's like, bro, we've had plenty of times at Wildcat 919, you being on Colby Van Camp show, who was actually on my show last week.
Yep.
And stuff like that. So like, you know the vibes, you know the sense, you know what I mean? But Coach, I know I got to start off with it. It's been a rough couple game stretches for K-State soccer at the moment. A rough, 4-game stretch, but played a lot of really tough teams. 2 being Nebraska and Memphis. 2 ranked teams. 2 obvious, like these are tournament teams, right? Nebraska didn't quite go as planned. I thought Memphis was a lot better. They only gave up 1 goal. Defense was there. Offense, I think, 3 total shots, 2 on goal to Memphis is 28, but still they only have 1 goal to show for it. That's something in itself, right? But Coach, for having such a young team with a tough 4-game losing streak, how do you keep their confidence up to try to take this going into conference play?
Yeah, I think that the key is really is being honest with them we could get in here and we could easily patronize them by like, hey, you're still this, you're still, because we came out of the gates really hot, right? Yeah. And had some great results and we're really rolling a little bit. But we knew that with not only is it a young team in terms of age, but it's also a young group together, as we're also returning only 3 starters from last year. So when you talk about youth, you're not even necessarily talking about freshmen. You could be talking about youth and experience, right? So in terms of just not having that game time in terms of game management and kind of as the game flows, what is demanded from you at different times and things. And those are important lessons to learn. And the only way and I truly believe this, that the only way you're going to learn those is the hard way. Mm-hmm. It's very easy to go through those first 4, if you count the 2 exhibitions, 6 games where we didn't lose. And, we played 2 ranked teams on the road and got draws. We got a couple wins and that kind of stuff. And so I think it's just about being real and getting back to what we do, right? So, hey, the key is especially as a young team, is you can't listen to the noise, right? When things are going good or when things are going bad, either way, right? We talk a lot about being an ostrich, sticking your head in the sand, getting to work, period. Not worried about all the outside noise. And so I think that's really what we've got to do to really bounce back from that is be real about the situation. Let's not try to gloss over it like it's not nothing. But at the same time, also having the patience with each other and the knowledge that we've done it. Like even this team, as young as it is, has done it. So it's not like, oh, I wonder if we can do it or not, right? We've already proven that we can. It's about sticking to the basics, making things a little simpler. And, now also we're 0-0 right now. We're 0-0. We're going into conference play. It's a clean slate. The goal was never to go undefeated. The goal is never to go undefeated. Now, the goal is to win every game. There's a difference there, right? So it's not about looking out way out ahead of you. It's about what's in front of you and taking care of the game that's in front of you, right? So we went up to Vandy and against a good opponent on the road, arguably deserved a result there. Didn't get it. It happens, right? No big deal. We come in, we run into a buzzsaw against Nebraska in that first half. But really, if you see in the second half, we actually responded quite well. Not only did we get forward and have some chances and things like that, but also we didn't allow them to score. So there are definitely some positives you can take from that. Memphis, definitely a different time of team from Nebraska in terms of how they do things. But I thought our kids responded well. We had some opportunities, not nearly as many as we did in the Nebraska game, oddly enough, but we're able to keep that tight and give ourselves a chance. And then I was listening to the segment before with you guys about, regarding with what was happening with the volleyball team. And, I think we kind of hit that same speed bump. I think we were, whether it was, I wouldn't necessarily say it was overconfidence. It's still just us trying to figure out our way and still trying to develop playing relationships and things like that. And so, the effort was certainly there. So it was not an effort thing. And at the end of the day, as a coach, I can handle that. I can handle it. And all of us can handle that. It's not about the execution, because as the effort is there consistently, the execution will then come. But it doesn't happen the other way around. So it's about being patient and getting back to what we do best and getting back to to our style of soccer and keeping things simple to be ready for Cincinnati coming out on Thursday.
For sure. Hannah?
Coach, so you talk about like youth, you've got a lot of young players. You only returned 3 last year. And I've seen this too. Obviously, we were playing so many freshmen. How have you seen them grow specifically after that loss against Nebraska? I feel like I saw you guys grow a lot literally in that match itself. You just said it. Rough first half, you came out and defended really well in the second half because Nebraska had no intention to take their foot off the gas, and you didn't allow any more goals there. But how have you seen those freshmen and, young players that aren't as experienced specifically grow in, how they manage the game, things like that?
Yeah, it's always really cool. I think that's the fun thing about having a youthful team is sometimes they don't know any better, right? So they just go play. But then there are times where that lack of experience hurts as well. So it's a little bit of a yin and yang. You got to kind of balance that out. I think what's really fun about this group is their eagerness to learn and their eagerness to gain that knowledge and be able to implement that knowledge. We haven't had, I've had teams in the past where players roll in and they're like, oh, this is the way I did it at my club or my high school or whatever. So I'm just going to be able to do it here. I think from the get-go, they were very open to new knowledge. There hasn't been one peep of, well, I didn't do it this way here. They've been very, very, head first diving into, I want to be a part of K-State soccer and what that is, right? So now can I use what I did previously? Possibly, yeah. You could probably use that to kind of carry you forward, but there are going to be other demands on you. So that's always a really fun thing to kind of see them, because you can tangibly see them get better and you can tangibly see them start to kind of become a college soccer player, because there's a big, big difference between a youth soccer player and a college soccer player. The day in, day out intensity of it is the biggest change. The fact that they're doing that without their kind of nucleus of family that's there to back them up. They kind of have a new family. And so it's been really cool, but we always talk about this. We joke about this a lot with different players throughout their careers, but everybody has that, oh crap, welcome to college soccer moment. Everybody does, right? It probably happens in every sport. And I think that first half of the Nebraska game may have been it for a lot of our players. Like, okay, this is welcome to college soccer. Like if you don't show up, if you show up at 95% instead of 100, then that happens, right? And I think the other thing they learned, maybe most importantly from this past Sunday, is at this level, anyone can beat you. Get rid of the 6-0, 7-0, 8-0 wins. Like those are a thing of the past. Everybody can beat you if you don't show up. And I think that was the lesson learned from Sunday. So it's good just to keep these lessons, because our goal was never to be undefeated. Our goal was to learn, be prepared, and prepare ourselves for the conference season, which is what I think this group is ready to do. And they're ready to break out, man. I think it's all, after the last couple games, it's been, I'm not going to sit here and say it's been, all rainbows and bunnies, in our office, but It's all been, how can we get out of this? Not, hey, you guys, or hey, do your job, or hey, I'm doing my job, or whatever. It's none of it. I haven't heard any of that. Even in the moment on Sunday, Jazz, who I know that you guys had on a couple weeks ago, it was incredible. And she was like, hey, guys, flat out, this isn't good enough. We are not good enough. So we have to be better. And it was great to see that from a sophomore who, she's played a lot of minutes. Yeah. Kid's 19. And she's like, hey, it's a we thing. I've got to be better. We've got to be better. And so that's been the really cool thing about this, is that it could really, you really come to kind of a fork in the road at this point in the season, right? Especially when you're running, kind of had this little skid that we've had, is you really run into a fork, and it's easy to go the bad route. That's the easy thing to do, right? To start blaming people, to start kind of, checking out mentally or whatever, and not doing what you need to do. This group is clearly taking the other path, and they're clearly refocused. They're ready to go. Training this morning was fantastic. It was buzzing around. Everybody was buzzing around. Everybody was yapping. So I think we're all ready to go. And that's what's really cool about this team, is as young as they are, and as maybe what we lack in inexperience, with our inexperience, we actually gain with the inexperience of going, hey, it happens. Let's just move on. Like, this isn't a long running thing. Like, let's keep in mind that, remember, before these 4 games, we were unbeaten. Like, it's not, so it's not the end of the world. The sky is not falling. The sun's going to come up another day. It was a beautiful morning this morning. And I think these girls are really ready to go, and they're ready to prove some things. And I think that's something that we've tried to come back to from the preseason is, we've kind of called it our, a little bit of our piss people off tour of 2023, right? Because the expectations of where we're supposed to be, right? It is what it is, right? So I'm not, we're not here to kind of gloss over that, but it is what it is. So, hey, just go play and just go piss people off, right? Go ruin people's seasons. That's a fun thing to do. And so we're getting back to that. We're getting refocused. We'll be ready to go. But I think these lessons that we've learned over these 4 games, I think at the end of the year, we'll look back on that and go, we're stronger as a unit because of that.
Yeah. Right. I like that whole piss everybody off, because I know my time during band, the alto saxophone section, for all these years, our motto was always get pissed. So as soon as you said that, it was a smile in my face. Coach, I know pretty much the entire season, but in these 4 losses, you guys had a lot of chances offensively to get the ball in the back of the net. I know maybe outside of Memphis, but y'all had a really good chance when Warren Strutman. It just took a goal line, I think, deflection from a defender with her shin, right? So, but outside of that, you guys have had a lot of chances, and you're just unlucky as far as it not finding the back of the net. But what have you actually liked from such a young, not all that experienced team offensively? Because those chances have been there.
Yeah, the coolest thing is how little coaching we've had to do in the attack, that it just kind of flows. And I think, the way that we teach defending and the way that we teach attacking are 2 very different things. And that defending is more black and white. It's where we're going to do this, we're not going to do this. Whereas, and it's more like defense is like sheet music. You play the sheet music, that's the note that's on there, you play it. Mm-hmm. Whereas attacking is a little bit more like jazz. It's a little bit more of a jam session. It's a little bit more of if this, then that, right? You see me going here, that means I need to go here, that kind of thing. And to see how quickly with new players and players that have never played together before, how quickly that's kind of come together. Because it would be a lot more frustrating to go through this stretch if we weren't creating any opportunities to score. Like, that would be the frustrating part. But we haven't had those problems. I mean, it was 1-0. We had the chance to go 1-1 against Nebraska. It was 2-1, or it was 2-0. We had a chance to pull it back to 2-1 and could have made it 2-2 even after that. So it's, so there's those things where we're knocking on the door, and I have a firm belief in the soccer gods, that they at the end of time, that they will even each other out. If you keep putting yourself in the right places and you keep putting yourself in those situations, you're going to be ready to finish it eventually. And I think that there's a little bit of, I think at first, I think we were almost surprised that we were getting good chances against good teams. And I think we very quickly realized, oh yeah, we're actually pretty good too. So that confidence is growing and growing. And I think that, I think once we see ourselves in front of the goal a little bit more, and that stuff still keeps to happen, you're going to see the ball start to go in. And I truly believe that when it rains, it pours. And so I think if we get 1 and we get 2, I think it could be trouble for other teams, because we have a lot of attacking personalities, a lot of players that are fun to watch with the ball. And it's just about making those right decisions at the right times and being ready to finish your chances. But, we are creating them. And last year we had some trouble creating chances. This year, that's not the problem. So that's part of the growth of the program, and part of the growth of our players that we have in the program is now we're getting those chances. Now it's time to take the next step to put those away.
Hannah?
So you're the goalkeeper coach, right? And so talking about Murphy Sheaf, incredible goalkeeper, really cool story too, coming from Australia. This season before the Nebraska game, she hadn't allowed a goal at home. And then obviously first half of the Nebraska game does not go great. How did she deal with any kind of, confidence issues or doubting herself? Or, what were the emotions about that? And then how did you as a coach approach that and help her, move past that? kind of, you know,
Yeah,
obviously 4 goals and a half is a big thing. And, you know, that's not all on her, but.
Right. Yeah. And first of all, you guys got to get Murphy on here. She is the best, one of the best people you'll meet, and can talk for England. I mean, she can talk forever. So, but I think the best thing that has helped Murphy is her professional attitude. I think that she's, you know, with goalkeepers, we got to be elephants, right? You got to be an elephant. You got to have a short-term memory, right? Get rid of it. Next thing. And also kind of understanding, okay, was there something I could have done more effectively to prevent that goal? Or was it just a good goal? Because there are such things as just good goals. And I think she's really mature in that way, that I think she really understands that. She also is unbelievably confident in her own abilities. You know, so I don't think that bothered her at all. I think it bothered her to lose. Don't get me wrong. Like, I mean, obviously it's going to bother everybody, and she feels that she's always looking for ways. Even when we had that shutout string that she had, where she set the school record for shutout minutes, she was always looking at how to improve herself. Right? She actually wasn't happy with her performance against UTSA when we shut them out 2-0. We had a meeting the next day. She was like, I just wasn't happy with how I performed. I got a text from her that night saying, I'm going to be better. I know the team needs me to be better. I'm going to be better. And she was. And that's a perfect example of what Murphy is as a player, as a person, as a teammate. You know, she's always looking forward. And so I have no doubt that was never going to be a problem with her. You know, it can be a little stunning, you know, in the moment to kind of, whoa, what just happened? But I think that getting into halftime, she was able to kind of settle herself, and, you know, she's already shown her abilities, you know, so it's going to take a lot more than one half of soccer for her to either get out of her head or her teammates to lose faith in her, because everybody's seen what the kid can do. You know, she's a game changer, and is going to win us some games, keep us in some games. You know, so I think that's important, and I think that's really what she can do. You know, she's still got some improvement to do, but I mean, the kid's played in a World Cup before. You know, she was the starting goalkeeper for the under-20s. So like that kind of moment it's not gonna have her falter one way or the other. She's not gonna get too high, get too low. She's gonna stay pretty much even keel and be ready to go again.
And honestly, kind of piggyback off of that too, because Murphy has only allowed 7 goals to 32 saves. Like, I don't do much about math, but that sounds like some damn good numbers to me, right? So what is having Murphy on this team, who has national team experience, how does that help with kind of that defensive back line a little bit, knowing that she's back there? What is that experience? Does that like kind of leak to the rest of the defense on how they like to defend?
Yeah, I think what she brings to that is some calm. Like, if you just watch her play in a hectic moment, she's never like tense and fisted up, and, you know, she's very calm, has a great presence about her, is a great communicator. And in those chaotic moments, you need a calm, directive voice, right? You don't need somebody who's going to raise the anxiety level. You actually need somebody who's going to drop the anxiety level. But at the same time, you know, we talk about this a lot about reacting inversely to what your team is doing, right? So if your team is down low and is kind of a little bit complacent with kind of where they are, she can kind of get them up, right? And if they're a little bit anxious, she can calm them down. But you know, that's really what she does well, is she's able to balance us out. You know, super calm kid, just the experience that she's had. Like, the game is not necessarily as fast for her as it may feel to maybe some of our freshmen and things like that, because she's played at a really high level. And I think that only gives advantage to our team, where she can see things coming maybe a little bit better because of just her experience at that level.
Gotcha. Hannah, you got something?
I feel like, you know, I got one more. You're headed into Big 12 play this week against Cincinnati. How is the team feeling about heading into Big 12 play, making the tournament, and, you know, how do you feel like these games have prepared you for these like really important matches coming up?
Yeah, well, we've played. I think of our what is it now? 10 games that we played if you count exhibitions. Of those 10 games, I think 7 of them were tournament teams last year. And so we've seen what that level is like, and we've succeeded against that level on the road, right? We beat an NCAA tournament team from last year who took TCU to the very brink in UTSA at home and kind of handled them. So I think that what the schedule has done leading up to this point, it's really shown us that we can do it, but it's also shown us that we're not there yet, that we still got to keep driving. And then, when you come down to it, everybody in our conference could be a tournament team. There are no off days now. I think that's the one thing that this team really thrives off of too, are those challenges. It's really cool to see a team that actually not only wants to be challenged, but really, really excels in those moments. When they're pushed to the wall and they're driven, they handle it, right? And they step up to the mark every time. There has not been, if you want to call even that one against Nebraska, not to beat a dead horse, but you talk about the game against Nebraska, and that was, our effort was still there. It wasn't an effort thing. It was that little bit of extra, right? That little bit of extra. And I think that was a lesson we learned from that. And now we're rolling in, and now we're 0-0 again. We're 0-0. Every game matters. I think everybody knows that. And all our goals are still ahead of us. That's why there's no hit the panic button right now. There's none of that, because all our goals are still right there ahead of us. We want to make the Big 12 tournament. We want to win games in the Big 12 tournament. We want to try to make the NCAA tournament run, right? That's really kind of in order. That's what we want to do, right? And all of that is still available to us, right? So I think it's been a great time to kind of refocus. We've got one game this weekend, and it's at home, right? And it's against a Big 12 newcomer, right? How about a little welcome party at the Boozer, right? How about a little welcome party? And I think that's what we're ready to do. Yeah. This team is ready to explode. They're ready to go. Everybody, generally speaking, is healthy, with one exception, but she's going to be back soon, and we're going to be firing all cylinders. I have no doubt about that. I think our leadership has been fantastic, and I think our freshmen are just really pumped up to see what it's all about. And we're just encouraging them to don't test the water. Don't dip your toe in, right? Let's do a freaking cannonball, right? And let's see where the chips fall, right? But, because the only guarantee if you don't do that is failure, right? So not being afraid of that, because we have nothing to lose. Jump in head first. Let's go. Let's see where the chips fall. And at the end of the day, if we walk away and we go, hey, we did everything we could, then everything else takes care of itself, right? Everything, you don't have to worry about the end game, because if you worry about the end game, you're going to trip with what's right in front of your face. So we're worried about Thursday night and going 1-0 in the conference and then carrying on from there.
Dang straight. Well, Coach, I appreciate you for coming on the show. I'm definitely going to have you on again, and damn straight I'm going to have Murphy on the show, because I think it'd be really fun. And
she is the best. You know me, Jazz. Anything for you, dude. I'm around.
Let's go. Well, Coach, once again, thank you. We will be watching when you guys play Cincinnati. I want to say on Thursday.
7:00. It's Oktoberfest, baby.
And Oktoberfest, man, I better see butts in seats. You feel me? Please, I'm generously through all of y'all, because I am in Amarillo at the moment. So please, butts in seat. That is not a request. That is an order. We will be right back here on Run It Back. See y'all in a second.
Thanks for listening to KC Sports Network. Make sure you download our new app. Find it on the App Store or Google Play. Just search KC Sports Network.
Welcome back to Run It Back here on Kansas City Sports Network. I am your host, Jazsmin Halliburton, and with me co-hosting is none other than Hannah Whetstone, sideline reporter for all K-State sports on ESPN+. And you just missed the 11th Doctor himself, Coach Matt Smith, the goalkeeping coach for K-State soccer. But first, before we get into more soccer, we got to talk about a different kind of football, because NFL football is back in full swing with another week of epic games. And who's got you covered on the action for every single one of them? None other than DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. New customers can bet $5 on football and get $200 instantly and bonus bets. Nobody's missing out on the action this season. All DraftKings customers can take advantage of 2 new offers every game day this September. Get in on the NFL Week 2 action with DraftKings Sportsbook. Download the app now and use KCSN to sign up. New customers can bet just $5 and take home $200 instantly in bonus bets. Only on a DraftKings Sportsbook with code KCSN. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Please call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.sot1800gambler.net. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort. 21 plus age varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. See sportsbook.draftkings.com/football terms for eligibility, terms and responsible gambling resources. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. Eligibility and deposit restrictions do apply. So like I said before, if you missed the awesome interview we had with Coach Matt Smith of K-State Soccer, it's all right because you can watch this on anywhere you get your podcast, on Apple, Spotify, or YouTube. So Hannah, we're going to keep the ball rolling with soccer. Of course, we talked to Coach Smith. Obviously, it's a little bit of a rough stretch that we got going on with K-State Soccer, dropping the last 4 games, and actually also a little bit of a scoring drought as well. They only scored 1 goal the past 5 games, and that was against Oral Roberts this past weekend, which we did drop 2-1. So it's a bump in the road. It's a bump in the road, Hannah. I know this kind of hurts my soul because we love K-State, man. You don't want to see them, have these bumps, have these games, but it is what it is. Not much you can do about it. Definitely not a damn thing we can do about it because we're fans, right? So we just gotta roll with the punches. We know they're a good team. They're youngsters. They're a young team. There's only 3 returning starters on this team, and yet we've already been so impressed with what they're being able to do. They played really, really tough teams. 2 of them ranked in being Nebraska, which we did get stomped, but it's fine. Only 4 goals in the first half, and none in the second. You got to find the positives where you can find them, right? And then they played Memphis really, really tough. Memphis was 16th ranked. We lost that game 1-0, and we could have easily let that game 1-0 early on, but it was a really good defensive play with a goal line deflection after a Morgan Strutman strike on the ball, right? So it was just one of those things. But you were on the sideline for this Memphis game. What did you see from them? Because Memphis had a lot of shots on goal, 28 total shots, and I want to say they only had 8 shots on goal, but only 1 goal to really show for it. So defensively, there was something there, but offensively, K-State only had 3 shots, 2 of which on goal. So what did you see from the sidelines in that game?
Yeah, so to start off, obviously they were coming off, a tough loss against Nebraska. Obviously, when I talked to Coach Dabini before the game, to interview him, I talked about, what did we learn from that game? We talked about how the Nebraska game was a measuring stick for this K-State team. And he talked about, they learned a lot from that game, that they were ready to go. They were putting that behind them. Had learned a lot about coming out strong, obviously, defensively, which they did. And, taking care of business. And obviously the Memphis game did not go the way they wanted to. But I will say what I noticed is I saw players playing with a lot more confidence and aggressive in the first half. I think that that's been an uphill battle for this K-State team, is coming out not reserved, but coming out aggressive. And obviously right away we see Morgan Strutman, dispossess the ball from the goalkeeper, get a good look. And I was really excited when I saw that, trying to contain my excitement on the sideline, because I was like, first of all, that would have been sick. Second of all, I was like, okay, we're going to get this rolling. And then that ended up being their only shot of the half. Had a couple more in the second half. But defensively, I thought that they played a lot better. They ended up changing their formation and put 4 in the backfield plus Murphy in the goal. And that proved to be rather advantageous for K-State. We played 3, I'm bad with my soccer formations, but we had 3 in the backfield for the Nebraska game, and moving to 4 worked a lot better for us against Memphis. So I have a feeling that we might continue to see that against some of those more attacking style teams. But, just like we heard from Coach Smith, I think that K-State can, hold their head high with that performance. Again, Memphis was a ranked team. That was a big matchup. Dare I say another measuring stick for this K-State team. And you could definitely see the growth from the Nebraska game to the Memphis game. And, even after that, I think they're going to continue to grow. I'm going to go visit with some K-State soccer players in 45 minutes, and I'm anxious to hear about their thoughts on that game and the Nebraska game and, how they've grown from that too. So, yeah.
Yeah, and honestly, and moving on from like the Memphis game where they played really well defensively, like they only gave up 1 goal. They had 28 total shots, 8 of them were on goal and things like that. They had that confidence, right? Not necessarily as much on the offensive side of it, even though we talked to Coach about this. They had a ton of offensive chances. They just didn't get lucky with any of them. And that it's just a slump. It's a slump because now you go to Oral Roberts, another team that, there's definitely a really good chance to win. And we were up in that game. We were up 1-0 going into halftime. And then Oral Roberts, they ended up getting 2 second half goals to win 2-1 against K-State. And I know it's just one of the things, it hurts. It hurts my soul. And the shot differential, it worked in K-State's favor. K-State had 24 total shots to Oral Roberts 19. 10 of those 24 were on goal. 10 of those shots were on goal for K-State, and it only resulted in 1. Once again, the ball bounces a different way, we'd be having a different conversation, right? And then 7 shots on goal for Oral Roberts. Murphy Sheep was responsible for 5 saves. K-State had 7 corners. Oral Roberts 2 offsides. K-State won the foul differential, 14 fouls to Oral Roberts 9, right? So they're still playing that aggressiveness. They're still playing that they have the confidence offensively. We know this. It's just it's just that slump. It's that slump. It's that bump in the road that they're doing all they can on the offensive side. It's just not falling. Like the shots just aren't falling. They're not getting into the back of the net. It is what it is. That's just something that you can't necessarily fix other than just keep shooting, right? Like you just got to keep shooting the ball and just wait until it gets in the back of the net. And honestly, I do want to credit a lot of this offense because we talked about Morgan Strutman beforehand, and when we talked to Jazsmin Brown, mentioned her a bit because she was about to lead K-State 1-0 against Memphis early on if it wasn't a really good defensive deflection at the goal line, right? So she's been something offensively, like a bright spot for sure offensively this season so far. But something I do want to talk about is Karan Singh, how she's been kind of a catalyst for all the offensive breaks that K-State has. She not only has been a huge factor with her assists, and obviously she's the one kicking in the corners, right? Anytime K-State's going into the attacking third, Karan Singh is more than likely she's one of the main ones who kind of gets that push, and she always wants to push the ball up. If anything slows her down, you can just see the frustration in her face. It's just if anything, just like the ball bounced just slightly off her foot or slightly off someone else's foot when they're about to make a break, you can just see because we're trying to go fast. Every time there's a foul and she wants to kick the ball off and the ref tells her to wait a minute, you can be like, you can just see her face just say, like she wants to go fast. She wants to go quickly. She wants to press the ball upfield. And I think that's been quite a huge part of, because Coach Smith talked about that, they've had more offensive chances this season than they had last season. And I want to say that Karan Singh has been part of that equation.
Yeah, I think she's a transfer, obviously from UTSA. And she is 100% a force to be reckoned with on that front line for K-State. I feel like from a spectator's, point of view, I see her playing style as fast-paced, like you mentioned. She's aggressive and she's super vocal. I think that she leads that front line really well. And it is so evident that she wants to win. She's highly, highly competitive. And she does a really good job, I think, also communicating with Aaliyah El-Nagar, the actual senior captain on the team, because obviously Aaliyah plays defense and Kieran plays almost solely offense. And so they communicate so well on the field being down there. It's been so interesting to watch the way that they, lead together super dynamically. And she the other thing is she passes the ball super well. I think that she sees the field in ways that other players don't. And she records a lot of assists that way and sets people up for success. Like we said, maybe some of those goals aren't finding the back of the net like we would hope they do. But even if it isn't Kieran who's taking those shots, she is a lot of the times the one setting her teammates up for success too, which I think also speaks to, her versatility as a player and her ability to like make things happen offensively for this K-State team. So
yeah, for sure, because she's been the catalyst of it. I know Ada Ederson, and she's been one really strong, especially like kind of that midfield forward position where she's been, playing here and there a lot. And in these losses that they have, the 4 straight losses that they've had, and I want to say 5 losses where they've only had 1 goal in the past 5 games, right? And I know starting with because it kind of started with Creighton, they weren't able to get a goal, and now they had 5 shots on goal. Against Vandy, they had 5 shots on goal. Nebraska, 7 shots. Memphis, only 2, because like I said, they had to do their job defensively in that game, but still, I thought they did really well against the 16th ranked team in the country. And then, of course, Oral Roberts, 10 shots on goal. It's not often you get 10 shots on goal and still lose the match, right? We've talked about before with Coach Smith. The chances are there. They have the players. They're a really young team. Now they just have to, like we talked about with volleyball before, you just got to wipe the slate clean. You just got to wash your hands, get a rag, dry your hands off, throw it in the recycling bin, whatever. And you just got to keep moving forward because now this K-State team has Cincinnati up next. And Cincinnati, I know they're both of these teams, K-State and Cincinnati, are walking into Thursday saying like, this is a game that we can win. Because I know Cincinnati, they're at 1-4-2 right now. K-State is at 2-4-2. I think I want to say now, counting that loss to Oral Roberts. So it's a start, and it's a start of the Big 12 play. Cincinnati is going to be like, this is a clean slate. K-State is going to be like, this is a clean slate. And each one knows what they have to do. So that's why this is going to be the tone setter for the rest of the season. Honestly, these non-conference literally don't really matter anymore.
Right. Yeah.
It doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah. Coach Smith literally said, we go into this Big 12 play, we are 0-0. And that's probably the mindset of every Big 12 team. And again, you talk about both of these teams coming in with something to prove. K-State is done with this, we're a new program, because they're not now, and they're ready to leave that behind as well. We don't want to be treated as this new program or like, oh, this is why we haven't seen the success because we're a new program. K-State's ready to shed that and actually prove to people that they are a force to be reckoned with in Big 12 soccer. And, in that same sense, Cincinnati has a chip on their shoulder too, right? This is a new conference for them. And I'm sure that they are very eager to set the tone. So obviously I have a feeling that this is going to be a great matchup and exciting one. As unbiased as I have to be on the sideline, in my head, I want my Cats to win because while I did not used to be as invested in the soccer team, I am now highly invested in them and like, oh my gosh, I love them all so much. This is so fun. I want these Cats to come out on top. So definitely there's skin in the game for both of these teams, and they're both going to be eager to come out with a win and get some points. But I think that, if Coach, the way that Coach Smith is talking about this team's attitude about these last few games and how it's prepared them for this, I think that they're on the right track to some Big 12 success.
Yes. See, this KC team is going to do what they have to do. On the fans' end, you heard Coach Smith. He wants butts in seats. He wants a welcoming party for Cincinnati, who is making their brand new debut in a very new conference at home. We need to make this one of the most hostile environments they've ever experienced in their damn life. And you guys are able to do that. So this game is going to be on a Thursday, 7 p.m. All right. Please, butts in seats. I want to live vicariously through all of y'all because I am not in Manhattan. Okay. I want the vibes. I want the screams. I want the yelling because we've seen it in that building before and they play so much better for it. So please, butts in seats. And same thing on K-State Volleyball. And they got the K-State Invitational that will be this week. We need them to beat these two teams, LIU and Rice, so disrespectfully because they got hit that left leg after having a bad loss to Lipscomb. Okay, and they have that chance to do that. So if y'all in the area, please go to their games as well. These 2 games will be at home for K-State. So we have 3 games, 2 volleyball games, 1 soccer game, all at home, no excuses. But thank you guys for watching Run It Back here. Thank you, Hannah, for being my gracious co-host and saving my life, like I mentioned before earlier on. So thanks, and a huge shout out to Coach Smith for coming on the show. And this has been Run It Back. We will see y'all next week.